from food scraps to a food surplus. That is the magic of composting, baby. And that's what we're highlighting here on Upper Michigan today. We're live at Partridge Creek Compost in Ishpeming to take you through the process of what happens when you put your scraps and your waste in the compost. We'll be showing you the process. We'll be telling you how you can get involved in Partridge Creek Compost's curbside pickup program. It's relatively new, but it's already making an impact here in Marquette County.
Yeah, I am really excited to have this type of experience. I've never been to a composting site. You know, I never really been taught on how to compost, on how important this is for the community, for the environment. So I really hope that us and everybody who is watching can definitely take some tips from this and, you know, learn how to better, you know, just to be more green per se.
Exactly. And if you look around this space, you'll see some scraps all over the place. That's not garbage. That's the compost doing its job. We are right in the middle of it. And now we're going to introduce you to the folks who make it all happen. We have Phil Carter, the incoming executive director. We have Allie O'Neill, and we have Rob Whitaker joining us. And Phil, we'll start with you over here as the incoming executive director. Congratulations, by the way. So Partridge Creek Farm, take me back to the beginning and walk us through how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so you mentioned Partridge Creek Farm. They're our sister.
Partridge Creek Compost, yes.
Well, it's worth mentioning Partridge Creek Farm briefly because we did start as a side project of them. This site was, phase one was built in 2016 by our director of operations, Aaron Yoki, who wanted to, he took an interest in compost because he wanted plentiful fishing bait to go fishing whenever he wanted and not have to stop by the bait shop. So he collected some food scraps from whoever was willing to give them to him, and he set up a little vermicomposting operation in his backyard, went fishing with the worms anytime that he wanted, and before long he had a bit of a surplus of this vermicompost. So he called up Dan and Partridge Creek Farm and said, hey, do you have a use for this vermicompost? And Dan said, not only do we have a use for it, I'll do you one better. I've got some land behind my roofing shop. Do you want to move your operation over there and grow it a little bit? And he said, sure. So he built the first phase of our site. It was about a half acre in 2016. In 2017, he started gathering scraps from Northern Michigan University and a few area restaurants. This grew slowly but steadily, and then COVID happened, and that kind of wound back down a little bit. And Dan and Aaron sat down, and they were like, well, what's the future of this? And Aaron said, this is a little too much work for me to do by myself. So they figured they had kind of three paths ahead of them. Either they could stop doing it entirely, they could wind it back down where it was manageable for one person, or we could grow it to be a county-wide commercial composting facility. And they opted to go for option 3, which brings us to where we are today. So we split off from the farm in February of 2023 for the main reason being that growing to serve the whole county, our scope is county-wide, and the farm scope is focused quite on Ishpeming. So we are, I want to make a point to highlight that we are separate entities. We work closely together, but we are our own independent nonprofit here to make compost, and that is our kind of our primary goal and what we do, and that fits closely into the rest of the food system because as you might know, the UP has a short growing season, fairly harsh weather, and not a whole lot of topsoil. So we see it as one of our primary goals to increase the soil fertility in this area, allow for more food to be grown, allow for our soils to be healthier, and reduce our dependence on chemical fertilizers and herbicides and pesticides and whatnot.
And now like you mentioned, you're a county-wide compost facility. You offer a curbside pickup program in Marquette, Negaunee, Ishpeming. How have you seen that grow?
I'll give that one to Allie.
Yeah, Allie.
Great. Yeah, hi. So we started that program basically really early on in 2024. We started with a pilot program. We opened it up to the community, asked for interest and what residences would like to participate and try it out. This is building a new program. We had an idea of how we wanted it to look, but didn't know exactly how it would play out. So we opened it up to 25 homes originally in January of 2024. And then about March of 2024, it was working really well. We felt ready to approach a greater community. We started our services just in Ishpeming, Negaunee, and Marquette. within city limits, and we've kind of grown that program throughout 2024. We brought on Rob in the fall of 2024. We had about 75 households in September of 2024, and that's grown to over 400 households today and 16 businesses participating. So we've really ramped up our scope and the impact, and our communities have really rallied behind us and supported us to be where we are today.
So, Rob, you've been with Partridge Creek Compost for about a half year now or so?
November 1st.
Since November 1st. And what kind of impacts have you seen this facility make?
It's the most exciting thing I've ever done. I've been working since I was 12 years old, and it's the most pure thing that I could ever get behind. And I basically, one of the main things I do is canvassing. I go door to door. We've knocked on over 5,000 doors, probably gotten answers at about half of them. And I would say 2 out of 10 customers on board, and everybody is just so excited about it. It makes so much sense. This is how we have a local food system and how we have beautiful flowers and gardens here in the UP.
For the people that aren't interested in composting, do you know why that is? Maybe is it because they just don't know enough about it?
Education is a big component of it, and it's not hard to have that conversation in less than 5 minutes. But the truth of the matter is we also have so many folks here in Marquette County that are already composting, and they just didn't know how they can support us. Believe it or not, we have a way that they can support us now with the materials that they can't process on their own. So it's a fantastic endeavor, countywide, really easy to get behind regardless of where you fall on that continuum.
Well, if you're watching this at home and you're interested in learning more about composting, what you can compost, what you can't compost, and then if you're already composting but you have certain scraps that you're throwing away, Partridge Creek Compost could be there to help you. We are going to tell you all about getting involved. We'll be highlighting the impacts of this facility all morning long. This episode is all about composting, so stay with us. We have to take our first break of the show.